Hey, 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 my friends. Y'all, here's the deal. Now, you know me, I don't really like to keep bringing up that thing, the big pandemic, but today I do want to talk about it just slightly. After bouncing back from the pandemic, my client Amber found herself in a place really asking, like, well, what's next? Well, what's next? And she knew that she had some really big goals to continue growing her businesses. And so for this week's episode, my client Amber, she's coming in and she's going to share with us really how and what she shifted her focus and how it has made a huge impact in her business and in her studios. And so if you're joining us, say hello. We want to know that you're here on this Wednesday. This is an active conversation. We love chatting back and forth. So get in the comments and we will make sure to have a conversation. If you stumbled upon this broadcast somehow, I'm Erin Bird and I support dance studio owners and educators to really grow their businesses and create their own unique vision of success without overwhelm, burnout, sacrificing their personal life, and really helping them get from point A to point B in the quickest fashion possible. Now, if you would like to get a copy of today's show notes, just drop the word show notes below and we will make sure to get those for you as well. I know what time of year it is, y'all. So even if you come back in on the replay, we want to know that as well. The last couple weeks, it is that time of year. It is showtime, recitals, nationals, and I've had so many studio owners hopping into my inbox saying, hey, is there a replay from last week's episode? So I want you to know, yes, we absolutely have replays available because it is that time of year and we want to make sure that you get all of this juicy goodness that is going to happen. Because what I want to tell you is that anything is possible. Uh, Anything is possible. Sometimes we just need a little support to get there. And so I'm going to go ahead and bring in my guest, my client, Amber Gilbert. I'm going to let her introduce herself, let you know where she's from, her studio, all that good stuff. And then we're going to dive into today's topic that's on hand. So I'm going to go ahead. Let's see if this works for us today. Yay, it worked. So technology, there's been some shifts, and even in our streaming and whatnot. And so sometimes technology isn't always my friend. So I'm glad that it is working for us. And so I'm going to turn it over and let you do a little intro of yourself, Amber, and then we'll come in and we're just going to dive into like the shifts that's happened for you, really what your kind of focus is now that it's a what next, and kind of where you were and where you're going. So I'm gonna try to be quiet, which is hard for me.
Okay, my name is Amber Gilbert. I'm from the suburbs of Detroit, just about 30 minutes west of Detroit. I opened my dance studio in 2001, so we have been here for 23 years.
Oh my goodness, so good. And she didn't mention she also owns a music studio. She didn't
Yes,
answer.
I do. Yes, I have a music school as well. That I've had 4 or 5 years.
Yes. So it's so funny because so many times we focus on like our one thing, and but the reality is that you have more than one thing.
I do.
And you know, I could say wholeheartedly that you have an entrepreneurial spirit in that, um, so many times studio owners that come to me, they say, I'm just a dance teacher who somehow became a studio owner, or, and that's not really your case. You really like love the business side of things. And so I absolutely love working with you because you know that things are possible.
Oh, thanks.
And I do. I really love it because you're not afraid to take action.
Oh,
You're not afraid to do the scary thing, even though it might feel uncomfortable. And that's what it really takes to be successful. And boy, oh boy, have you had some big wins since we started working together. But I wanted to go back and really share kind of For those who don't know, who may be new to our community or didn't get to see you on the first time that we did our first live together, kind of showing your amazing growth then, but you've continued to grow as we've continued to work together. And so, when you found me, I think honestly, I don't know if we met in Vegas maybe
Yep.
at Dance Teacher Web Conference, and you took maybe some of my workshops, but then for you, kind of where were you at? What was the catalyst to say, yes, I need support from you, Erin? Um, where were you at? What was going on for you, so everybody knows kind of what your story is, and then so we could share like all the amazing things that you've done.
Yeah, so right following the pandemic, I was, business wise not in a good place. Like we weren't making enough to pay the bills. So I had decided to try another program, and I had been in that program for about a year when we met, and it was a high price program, and it had yielded no results. At the end of that year, I found myself looking at the books, going, "I am now worse off than I was because I'm paying them money and losing more students to whatever's happening." And uh, it was when I heard you at Vegas, something just clicked, like personality wise. I'm like, well, maybe I should look into this. So I started following Erin's lives, and then it was just within a couple months I had signed on as like, this is my ride or die. This is going to either work or it's not. And because something has to change.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it turned out to be exactly what I needed. It turned things around. That first year was all about getting, back in the black, financially speaking, which we did. I was able to grow student wise to the point where we could pay the bills. We revamped our tuition structure together, made all the changes we needed to make that first year. That actually, I mean, it did keep my doors open. So yeah,
Mhm.
that was how we met.
Yeah, and I think that so many times, um, I hear it. I do hear it, unfortunately, where I have studio owners who come to me and, maybe they did try another program. Maybe they were part of a different organization or something. And unfortunately, it just wasn't the right fit for them for many different reasons. Sometimes it's, um, you know, the program isn't really what they needed for where they were in their business. Maybe it's that there wasn't, individual one-on-one support that's really looking at your unique situation. And I think so many times that studio owners will go into programs, um, you know, because they're like, well, I heard and this one seems good. And, and which is great. We all want word of mouth, right? But just like your studios, not not every student being the perfect fit for your studio, it's the same idea when it comes to support, when it comes to coaching programs, mentors, consultants. Not every program is going to be the perfect fit for you and who you are, and what you need and what you want to accomplish, and maybe even the timeline that you want to accomplish it. I truly do feel like, and this is just me, if a program tells you that, minimum 2 years before you see results, there's a problem there. Because it doesn't have to take you 2 years. And this is something that, I think Amber was, and to be honest, I think you could say that sometimes we are a little hesitant going into the next one, because when feel like you've been burned and you feel like it was a waste of time, money, energy, you're like, you don't want to do that again, right? And so it makes us a little shy, sometimes gun shy of pulling the trigger. And so, but I know that, because you have that spirit, that sometimes we have to take the leap and we invest if it feels right.
Yes.
And I think for Amber and I, we click a lot because I am not a sugarcoater.
Correct. Correct. I like it straight and to the point.
Yes. And so that is something that I think, when it comes to me working with my clients, it's if you want me to kind of tiptoe around what you really need to do or not call you out, I'm really not the person for you.
That is very, very accurate. Yes.
I'm just not the person.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's kind of fast forward. So we started working together. We really went through and we you had been in business for a long time and you had systems and you had um, a good handle. You were seasoned. You were, you had a great team, rock star staff.
Yep.
What we
Yep.
found is that they're really, you didn't need necessarily major overhauls or us starting from the ground up. We actually just needed to go in and really like look at where are the gaps in your system. And and that was really some of the first things that we changed was really looking at your systems and where are there gaps and how do we fix them.
Yes, and the visibility plan, that's my favorite thing in the world now. That has been a business life changer
Hmm.
for me, and that was one of the first things we worked on was visibility plan. I'd never heard of that.
Yeah.
So yes, that made a huge difference, and it's both short game and long game. To fix the media problems, but then it set me up for everything I've done this year as well.
So
Um,
I have to talk about this real quick because I think unfortunately, so many times nobody's talking about a visibility plan. Nobody's talking about what that really means. A
right,
lot of times everybody there's so much noise, and I'm saying noise lovingly, but there's so much noise in our industry about, you know, um, paid advertising, throw up this Facebook ad and you're going to have 100 new students. And I am not here to tell you that paid advertising does not work because it does when done correctly.
mhm,
Right? When done correctly. And there are agencies and I have, people that I work with as far as that's their wheelhouse, but it will work 100 times better if you have a strong visibility plan in
mhm,
place. And visibility plans and the actions inside of them don't have to cost you a ton of money,
right.
right? And so I think that y'all, if you don't have a strong visibility plan that is partnered with your marketing plan, it's like throwing, dry spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. Not even wet spaghetti, dry. So I'm so glad we rolled out that visibility plan. We've got your studio back and rolling. We then looked at your tuition structure because I'm about the numbers, you're about the numbers, and you're not afraid to increase your rates. But what we had found that you were already kind of the top
Yeah,
in your community, and so we had to just massage and tweak things a little bit to again make you the unicorn in your community and make it so you cannot compare apples to oranges.
right.
And so we really looked at how do we create a tuition structure that makes it so they can't really compare and the value is there. So that was the next rollout and I think your parents all loved it.
Yeah, they did, absolutely. In fact, and for those of you who I haven't talked to, we have a membership model now with 3 tiers. So, and our most expensive tier, which is like an all-inclusive, is one of our most popular choices that they're just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna pay for everything through this, and then I don't have to worry about the leotard because it's included, and,
Mm.
I get 2 recital tickets in this package." And the most important thing is they're not getting a discount on that stuff. It's all paid for in that package.
Yeah.
But it's just structured a different way that's more convenient for them.
Well, 100%. It's the perceived value.
Yes.
And as a parent, also, I will tell you that for me, I loathe, for me personally, just tell me what the cost is. I just want to pay the cost. I don't want to know like this and this and this and feel like it's like this nickel and dime thing that
Mhm.
actually annoys me. Just
Yeah.
again, maybe it's the sugar, no, not a sugar coater thing. Just like hit me with it. Like I am the person, I walk in and Miss Caitlin, who works at my daughter's studio, she's like, do you want to know what it's going to cost for the year? I'm like, yes, please. Here's a check. There you go. Done. Right?
Yes.
So that is just who I am. Now, I'm not saying every parent is going to do that, but what I also know to be true is that parents don't want to make a million and one decisions
No, they don't.
when it comes to dance. We're already making a million and one decisions, what feels like on the hour. Anyway, please make their life easier. You guys, make their life easier. So we switched your tuition structure up. It's been really great across
Yeah.
the board. And we did decision fatigue, Christy, is so real. It is so real. And the reality is that there are times where, okay, I'm going to go into story time real quick, and I'm sorry, I digress. But I was actually meeting with a principal at one of our public schools the other day. And we were having a conversation about a contract that we're going to be working with them to help them with their arts education. And she said, I have this budget. I said, do you mind sharing with me what your number is? And she's like, nope, not at all. So she gets in her computer, she looks it up, and she says, this is what my number is. And I said, oh, okay, great. And we talked about what she wanted to do, all the things. And I said, oh, we can, like, for all the things that you've told me, we can do that for half of what your budget amount is. And you still have half to spend on things, supplies, new curtains, like all the things. And she looked at me and she goes, I don't want to decide. Just spend it for me.
Oh, wow. Hmm.
Because the amount of decisions that she has to make is overwhelming. Then she followed up with saying, I don't know much about the arts. That wasn't my wheelhouse. I was a basketball player, right? Who went to school and loved school and was a book nerd, right? I don't know how to spend this money well and do good by my students. Like there's things that I know that I want for them. I want to give them more exposure, all the things, but I don't know how to spend that money appropriately. Okay. So, story time, y'all. My point is that it doesn't matter. Like people still to this day, out of pandemic, moving forward with life, have decision fatigue. And so please make it as easy as possible for your parents so they don't have to make a million and one decisions when it comes to their children's dance arts education. Because when you start making it complicated, it's an easy no.
Hmm.
It's an easy no. If you make it easy, it's an easy yes. And that's what we want. We want easy yeses, right? So, this principal, I went back to the drawing board and I said, listen, I'm not here to like take all your money because I don't think that would be fair for many reasons, right? Like there's additional things that we're going to do, but I said, let me help you. Here's where I see that you have a gap, right? So they walked me around their school and I was like, those curtains have been on your stage since you opened. Replace them. I was like, there is no on the sides of the stage. There is no lighting where there's stairs. You need some, safety. You need some lighting. Why not get yourself like I went through and she was like, oh my goodness, thank you so much because now I have a plan and I know what I need to do. But she was overwhelmed and she was a newer principal and not that I think changes anything, but she was just like, I don't know, this isn't my wheelhouse. I've told you have to spend this money and I don't know how to spend it. That's all they told me. You have to spend this money. Like, no direction. So please, sorry, story time. You know me, I can't help myself. But anyway, I think it's valuable information as we move forward. So you got to a place where we had a conversation. You're feeling really good in your studio. Things are going really, really well. We added on some additional revenue streams that were really, really simple that, you're like, why did I think of that? It's
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
because I'm outside of it, right?
Right.
So So fast forward ahead a little bit, and this year, since everything's running in the studio kind of according to plan, right? Um, and you just had your shows and those all went swimmingly like they always do because we have this you have systems and you're like I'm good at my job, so which I love. So we decided to not completely shift focus. It's not like you're like okay done with studio over here, but you have the systems, you have the staff, you have the support in place, and you know how much time is allocated to your studio, and so we kind of started to look at the what's next, really.
Yes.
And so
So
what was the what's next conversation? Actually, we started the what's next conversation in Vegas last year.
we did. We did. I was a little bit scared by that step until I got into it. So we decided the next step is to get outside my walls, take a program mobile, and start working in the preschools, the daycares, the schools, whatever we can get into. And at first, I was hesitant because I'm not a salesperson, and it really was intimidating to me, the idea of having to walk into these places
Mm.
and get them to buy my program.
Mm,
So it took me a couple months to work through that.
yeah.
Yes, but what I can say is once I did, I found that it was easy. It wasn't hard at all because they want the program in
Mm,
most cases. Yes, you're going to get the ones that, I had one that wouldn't even let me in the door. You're going to get them. But my first day out, the fifth stop, I was 30 seconds into the spiel about the program. She's like, come on into my office. I want to do this, and
mhm,
we sat down and set it up. So, and that was in spring. So we started our first mobile program in March, did a whole session with that school. Since then, we've added two other definite organizations, one of them being very large, that we're doing mobile programs for this summer. And I've got two more that I'm in the process of booking. The big win, though, is because with our visibility plan, I have a DJ. We go out to family events in the community. There's this organization that does after school programming in our district for kids that have to stay after school. Um, and I've been trying to get in touch with them, emails, phone calls, couldn't get in touch with them. They were at this event and they actually came to us and said, "Hey, we want to partner with you guys. Can you call us?" And yes, absolutely. I've been trying. Thank you so much.
yeah. Not for lack of trying,
Right.
but now they came to you.
Yes, they came to us. So last week we started summer session with them. They do a day camp for the summer instead of after school. The first day of class, they came to my instructor and said, how do we book you for the fall?
Mm.
So we are now in the process of booking to be in our elementary school district with after school classes for the fall as well as the summer. So
That makes me so happy. And I remember when we first started working together, you're like, I cannot get into these school districts. Like, I don't
yeah,
know
yeah,
what, how to make it happen. I've been trying. And I said, just have patience. We have a plan. We're going to get there. And these are the steps.
right.
And so it's really coupling some different strategies, and once you start doing it, it's a ripple effect. And I think that one of the big things is that when it comes to our mobile programming specifically is that I really am passionate about, I started mine, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, honestly. I was like, you know what? Everything's figure outable. I made a lot of mistakes. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I made a lot of mistakes in my growth to serving thousands of students through our mobile program. But now when I work with my clients, I really hand over everything. And I'm like, here's your template, use it, right? Here's what this looks like. Here's a 30-day launch calendar. If you want to go out there and get it done in 30 days and have classes starting, this is how you make it happen, right? Because it doesn't have to take a long time. really, most of the time for most of my clients, the what takes them longer is them against them and their thoughts of not being a salesperson and
Guilty. Yeah,
overcoming.
that was my holdup. Yep.
Mhm. And then once we work through that, which we did, um, now you have so many good things happening. So Amber also has, she didn't share with you, one of the things that she had started up and that we've been now working on as well is a nonprofit
Oh
arm
yeah. Hmm.
of the business. And this is being used, as part of the mobile programming. But it's really being used in conjunction with her for profit. And that has allowed you to have some opportunities as well, um, with local other organizations that want to support kids in your community. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So originally, we started the nonprofit 2 years ago because we had kids within our own walls that their parents were struggling to pay. They were, and we know from experience that, dance isn't just a class they go to. Dance can be the safe space, dance can, save them from something. And we wanted to make sure that could continue to happen for the kids that needed it. So we started very basic, not having a clue what we were doing. We filed all the paperwork, had a board of directors, and we just started doing fundraisers within our own studio to have scholarship funds to
Mhm.
help those kids out. But once I started the mobile program with the for-profit, we were like, hey, well, the nonprofit that could do some stuff like this too. So with all the connections I've made through my visibility plan, I was able to talk to the city, and they connected me with another nonprofit in our city that had actually sponsored a class in the lowest income district of our city for spring and fall, so we could take a class into that area and let those kids who definitely can't afford to take dance or even might not even have transportation to get out of their area. So we are able to provide dance for them, and we plan to continue doing that, continue finding grant money and taking mobile programs to different places that couldn't afford it.
And what I love about this, and this is something that I work with my clients on, is that there also is a shift that has to happen, a mindset shift a little bit, for a lot of us is understanding that if you do have a nonprofit, that it doesn't mean that everything you do is volunteerism. It doesn't mean that, or that it's at your own detriment, right? That a nonprofit just allows, it's still a business, and it allows you to make a bigger impact and do more good in your community. We're just receiving funds and allocating things maybe in a slightly different way. So I know that's something that Amber, you and I worked on
Yes.
really, is that
I don't know how many times I actually asked Aaron, "Am I allowed to make money for this through the nonprofit? Can I have some profit in this? Am I allowed to do that?" I had no idea.
right. And so many of us, this happens a lot, especially, I mean, there's a million different reasons why in our industry we have a starving artist mindset sometimes, but B, when it comes to the nonprofit world, people think nonprofit means no money. And the reality is that is absolutely not true. And so you can use and leverage a nonprofit, and yes, you can make money for all the work and the time and the effort that you put in. That is allowed. My friends, it is allowed. Now, the idea is you're not taking all of the money, right? There are ratios that we want to stay under and we want to do good. But yes, you should be compensated for your time, for your energy, for your effort, your talent, the educate, all the things that you bring to the table. You should be compensated for that. And so that was something that really we worked on together when it came to the nonprofit and contracts and things. Is like, Amber's like, Erin, I don't know how to price these. And I'm
Mhm.
like, and what was my answer? It's just math.
Right, which is always the answer, but I just wasn't sure what math I was supposed to put in.
Right? It's just math. And we talked about that math and why it's doesn't necessarily need to change,
Yes.
right? And so, so this year, really, I mean, if you had to say what your big focus is on growing this year, it's what would you say it's been?
It's all mobile. It's all outside my walls.
Mhm.
Continuing with the visibility plan. I know we didn't really touch on it yet, but I'm setting up to actually get sponsors for the events that we take to the schools and the cities and stuff around us, so that we can actually make money and help other businesses reach families as well,
Mm,
for the events that we do.
yeah,
So yeah, it's all outside my walls, mobile, everything.
yeah, because there is power in it. I think that so many times, we tell ourselves, "Oh, I'm so busy with everything else going on. Like that's going to be this big undertaking, right?" And when we tell ourselves that, a lot of times it's just fear talking. If we're being, let's call it spade a spade, it's fear talking, right? And unless you've done it, we can't really. That's a feeling, not a fact, right?
Right.
And so, so this year, the beautiful thing for you is you're growing that outside the four walls, um, for many different reasons. But I think that looking at the power that it has, you can leverage it. You're growing your brand awareness, you're growing your bottom line, you're feeding students into your studio
Yes.
space, and you're making a bigger impact in your community, which I know you are so passionate about is really
Yes.
serving your
For
community and
sure.
serving your community well. And so I guess what would you say um, what would you say for you has been some of the differences in the the past programs that you tried, classes, workshops, whatever, versus your time working with me?
So the biggest thing was probably, the organization tells you told me they were going to help me with the things that I needed help with. Yet they had this set plan of, this month we're going to do this, and this week we're going to do this, and this that was for everybody. And despite the fact that I kept saying, no, this isn't what I need. This isn't where I have problems. I need help with this, this, and this. The program wasn't set up to do that.
Mm,
So it was very cookie cutter, I guess. Like,
yeah.
it was like, this will help everybody, so we're just going to blanket this and say and call it good. Whereas with your program, you actually get to know us individually, find out what our goals are, what our struggles are, help us come up with a solution, a plan to get there, a system that works.
Mm,
And then once we implement it, it actually does work. So, and if there's a glitch, if it does, one piece of it doesn't, we go back and talk about it and figure out how to tweak it to make it work.
yeah.
So that has been the biggest thing for me, is the individual attention,
Mm,
that I have to say, okay, this is what I ran into. How do we fix this? And then we address that specifically, as opposed to, this week we're talking about how you handle parents with your emotions. And I'm like, no, I don't need to. No, I'm good. Like,
I don't need that right now. I'm good with that. And I think that's, for me, when I started doing the coaching and the consulting and really mentorship, I really look at it in a different way. In that coaching is a piece really of what I do. It's a strategy, right? There is pieces of that. And I don't want anyone on here to think like that we don't do any of that. We don't do monthly, like, here's a deep dive on a topic, here's some things to think about. We do that as group inside of our group coaching. Because I do think it's important to still touch on those sort of things and new trends and those sort of things. But what I think is so important is that there's so many people telling you be unique. You're special. You're like no other studio. Be proud of that. But then we're telling them, but do it like every other studio.
yes.
How does that make any sense? It doesn't make any sense to me if we're being quite honest, right? Every person, every studio is unique. Your set of goals are unique. Your vision of success looks very different than anyone else's.
Mhm.
And so we have to, when I started this whole thing, I said, you know what, I really am uh, more like a mentor in a way, in that coaching is part of it. We're going to coachable items, right? But, but really there's that piece of like, what is it that you want? What is it that you really want? How do we get there? How do we get you in the quickest fashion? What does that look like? And com- consistently touching base on, does that still look the same? Because what we also know is, as we grow as humans and people and our businesses grow, um, sometimes things change in what we want, right? Like whenever people say, oh, 5-year plan, I'm like, a lot can change in your life in 5 years. Like a lot. And like, I'm the 1 and 3 year plan kind of gal. Like
Me too.
that 3 years max, because we don't know what we're gonna want, what's gonna change in the landscape, all of the sort of things. And so sometimes, while I could see 5 years ahead, right now, oh my gosh, I'm doing 6 years because my youngest will be out of high school in 6 years, which is a little, oh, okay. But like that, I know it's out there. And of course, I think about what life is going to look like, in that season of life, but I'm not actively making my business plans accordingly to that one day in 6 years. No, I'm a 1 and 3 year kind of gal. Um, so I'm so glad that you shared that, because I think that when I started this, I personally said that I didn't ever want to have 2,000 people inside of my programs, because I couldn't know you.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way for me to possibly know you as a person, as a human, I wouldn't know about, the animals and your kids and your parents and all the things if I had that many clients. And I didn't want that. I really made the decision that I would rather be like a boutique and serve less studio owners, but feel like I've had a profound impact. And so that is my goal with everything that I do when I am taking on clients and really supporting them, because it is actually, I feel like, I know you could say if it's different, but I feel like it's actual real time support, like walking next to you, like
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
if I could hold your hand and skip down, we could skip together down the aisle. That's what it would be. Um, so I mean, I hope that's what you've seen. I'm so excited, like, to continue to watch this piece grow for
Yes,
you.
me too.
Um, I'm excited that you're going to be coming to the next Dance Studio Owners Business Retreat.
Oh, yes, so am I. Yes,
Um,
can't wait.
Yes, I know it's going to be so good, and so we get to go down under, and so I'm so excited for that. And my friends, I'm going to tell you that right now I'm doing something a little bananas. Um, we are doing 3 months of coaching, and I'm going to give you my whole system for our mobile programs. If you're wanting to launch your mobile program or scale it or grow it, honestly, everything that we've created, I could franchise this.
Hmm.
I could franchise it. I
Yeah.
personally, there's reasons I don't want to do that. But I want to support studio owners in a way that gives them all the tools and the resources. So, do you feel like the things that we gave you to help you launch the mobile, were they like so you didn't have to figure it out? What did you feel about the resources? I guess is the big
Yeah,
question.
yeah, that was great. So, yes, just tweaking it and copying it, making it mine from the samples was huge. Then I knew that I had everything without having to figure out how to make it myself from scratch. So that was big. Yeah.
So we give everything for that, and then you have me walking you step by step of, okay, like, here's what we do, here's step one, this is, check that box. Once we got that done, we're going to go to step two. And
Yes.
so what I found is, we typically, within 90 days, not only can you launch your program and you can already have students coming in, rolling in and rolling, and so that's why I like to do this. You could, in 90 days, have a
Mhm.
fully functioning, highly profitable mobile program. And so for anyone who's interested in getting support with that, Right now, I'm doing a whole crazy thing. It is 3 months of coaching plus our whole system, all the resources. You get to meet with me, one on one. We're going to go through things. And so that program is just $3,333. And there are payment plans available. So if you need a payment plan, let me know. Just drop the word mobile below and we can talk and see if it's a good fit for you. But what I can tell you is that with that one school site that you had for summer, you recoup your
That whole
investment,
cost, yeah.
the whole cost.
Yes. So yeah, for the one program. Yes.
Right? So, and now you have the whole system, you have everything that you need to just duplicate it
Mm-hmm.
over and over and over again and scale it to whatever feels good for you.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
so, my friends, yes, Christy, you and I will chat.
Mhm.
And because what I can tell you is that this has power in it. And what I recognize with the mobile program in itself is that because you didn't have the four walls, right? Like if you just wanted to do mobile, let's just say for all intents and purposes, you just wanted to do mobile, you get to decide. There were times because of things happening in our life where, I grew out our mobile and we were serving 3 counties, and then life happened. My father was diagnosed with leukemia. My husband had heart issues that we were dealing with. We had 2 young children. There was a lot of things happening in our life. And so I made the decision that, I'm going to scale it back during the season of my life, right? Something that felt more manageable. And we did, and it was great. And then guess what? Things changed, and we had the relationships, and it was really easy to do this again because everybody was so understanding, and because of the relationships that we built, that it wasn't a big deal, and they were open us. They're like, come back, we can't wait for you to come back. And um, so that is one of the really beautiful things about a mobile program too, is because the overhead is really so low, that you don't necessarily have to say, I need 1,000 students to be profitable or whatever.
Right, right. You only need a couple students to be profitable. Cover your cost and a couple students, and then everything else is profit.
Yes. And so I definitely think that there's so much goodness in this. And like Amber said, they really do want it.
Hmm. Yeah, that took me by surprise.
Yes.
But some people will still say no, but it was not hard to sell to the people that wanted it.
Yes. 100%. And there's always, and here's the thing, I'm going to just say this: a no right now is not a no forever. And
Hmm.
what typically happens is those negative Nellies who have done things a certain way for a certain amount of time, or again, they're just overwhelmed with life and decision fatigue and all the things, so they don't feel, again, they tell themselves, oh, this is just another thing to add to my plate. um, what happens is the word spreads.
Yes, and it not only amongst organizations. I can tell you this week, I have talked to some customers through email that are like, "What sites are you at? Like, where are your classes?" So even just citizens of our area are beginning to find out that we are not just in our own space. They want to know where we are so they can find a class for their kids.
100%, y'all. And so that's powerful. Like,
Yeah.
that's powerful, right? And it just shows what a profound impact you are making in your community, and that you are meeting people where they're at. Number one, there is that you are providing quality education, regardless of what the space looks like.
Right.
And that will continue to grow. And those ones who were no's, what typically happens is, they all talk, those preschool directors or elementary principals or whatever, they do talk to each other.
Hmm.
And they're like, wait, why don't we have that? And you're like, because you told me no at the door. But no, but then you go back and, things change and they are picking up the phone saying, well, so and so has it. Why don't we have it? And then we say, well, let's have that conversation about what that looks like, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so it's one of the big things is for me, it's never about us. It's really about them and what's happening in their life or in that moment or, whatnot. And so I am a firm believer. A no is not a no forever. A no is for now. And many things will change and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, Amber, if there's one last thing piece of advice that you could leave everybody with, because we've been on together for quite some time and I appreciate your time, what's the one thing that piece of advice you could give them as people grow into the what's next or, that sort of thing? I don't know. What would you say?
Um, just one, huh? Okay.
Okay. Well, if there's two, I guess you could say two.
Well,
I
the
won't
first
stop
the
you from.
first would be, yeah. I have two, I think. Yeah. So the first would be, you should really look into working with Erin, however it works for you, because I mean she has a couple different options for different people, but that has changed everything for me. The second would be that visibility plan. I can trace everything back to 2 years ago when you started teaching me how to do a visibility plan. That is when things started to change, and it continues to be why things change, why organizations and places are calling us, say, we want your dance party. Can you please bring it to our event? Are you available? I actually had to turn somebody away because we had two events on the one day that they wanted already. So yeah, that would be my two pieces of advice.
That's beautiful. I mean, and thank you
Yeah.
for that. I
Yeah.
obviously love working with you. I, I love, like I said, that you're not afraid to take action and do,
Mhm.
the things, even though you're like, I don't know if that's going to work for me in my area. I'm like, let's just try it out.
Yep.
See,
Yep.
right?
Just
Give
do
it
it.
a
Just do what Aaron says and then tweak. Yes, that is another
we
piece of good advice.
we tweak them, we massage because the thing is, yes,
Yeah.
every area is unique, and I'm not here to say that there aren't different nuances for
Yeah.
each community, right? And so, yes, sometimes we will take a strategy and we have to look at it and say, okay, how do we massage it? How do we tweak it? What needs to happen for it to be in alignment with your goals, your culture, your values? Like, what do we need to do there? But I do think that for so many people, the visibility plan, especially if you have a brick and mortar
Mhm.
studio space, that the visibility plan is the I don't know why it's the hidden strategy in our
Truly,
community.
truly, it is. I swear, never heard of it until 2 years ago. At the conference, you did a thing on it, and I was like, "Oh, I need to learn more about this." That, and yeah, that was it for me.
Mhm.
I can tell you that when I talk to people online now, everybody knows my name is associated with the dance academy.
Mhm.
Everybody knows that. So, like, and before that, they didn't know who I was. So,
I
yeah,
mean, not clapping that they didn't know who you were, but
yeah, no,
that we have course corrected the
yeah,
problem,
yeah,
and that now it's you. Yeah, everybody knows
yeah.
you are and have and are becoming really a brand in your community that is the go-to
Hmm.
place, not just for dance instruction, right? But for
Right,
more than that,
right.
and for music and whatnot. And it really does come down to you got to be known, you got to be in your community, you got to show up. We got to have a visibility plan for them to know who you are,
Right,
and it's working the plan consistently.
right.
That's key,
Yeah,
consistency.
and it is work. Like it's not just this easy little fix. Like you check these couple boxes and it works. You do have to continually work it, but once you get in the rhythm and use the systems, it's not hard to continually work it.
Okay, thank you. Because I know,
Yeah,
like, sometimes, uh, and I'm guilty too in this day and
yeah.
age. We're like, but I want it now, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
we want the magic pill sometimes, or we want we've been sold so many times, I think, through marketing and that, like, just do this one thing, and and it is gonna, and don't get me wrong, but like, I think that because that's been like we want that instant gratification. We want things, whatever. So sometimes it's like, well, it didn't happen fast enough. Well, I'm going to be the first to tell you guys that there are some things that are going to, yes, get you rapid, quick
Yeah.
fire results, right? Like the mobile program, you implement that, quick results, right?
Yes.
You can have amazing results in very short amount of time. The visibility plan will help fix immediate, but like you said, it is one of those things that's going to continue. It is the gift that keeps on giving.
It is. Yes.
Right?
It
So,
went from me approaching people to be places to people contacting me to ask if I will be places for them.
mm,
So, yeah.
it's shifted.
It has.
Shifted how things are working, and they're coming to you instead of you coming to them,
Right.
because you are the go-to now.
Yeah.
So I love. Amber, thank you so much for coming on and spending the time with us and
Oh, it's
sharing
a pleasure.
how you've up leveled this year by shifting your focus. And I think that it's just, for me, even for myself, I think it's so inspiring to hear from others who are actively in it and who are coming out the other side, and that it's not just for, well, yeah, that like, I think that it's just powerful to share our stories, because so many times we don't share the full stories, especially in this day of social media and things. It's like always the highlight reel. But when we can come on and powerfully say, yes, it was work, it was
Yeah.
hard work, but the fruits of my labor are bearing, like we are,
Totally
and
worth it. Yep.
yes, continually. And so I love that you're so willing to share with others.
Anytime.
And I love having you as a client. So I
Oh, thank
appreciate
you.
you. My friends, if you want more information about mobile programmings or how I support my clients, you can drop the word mobile. And I know, Christy, you already did. I'll reach out to you and we can have a conversation. Yes, go to your lunch and learn, and you and I will chat some more. And I will see you all next week for another episode of the Aaron Bird Live Show. We are going to dive into a topic that is near and dear to my heart. And you guys will probably laugh when you see the topic, but it's going to be so, so good. So I will see you next week for another episode. And y'all have a fantastic week. Bye, friends.
Hi, everybody.